What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to build a real-time AI receptionist that answers a real phone number, asks the caller what they need, and books real meetings on cal.com, all with Python, LiveKit, and Claude. Check this out. I'm going to dial my agent through my personal cell phone now.
Hi, this is James's assistant. How can I help?
Yeah, I was wondering if I could schedule a meeting to speak with James.
Sure. What's the meeting about?
Just some basic AI consulting.
Got it. What day were you thinking?
Um, I was looking at Friday, May 22nd.
Let me check what's open on May 22nd for you. He has 9 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon available on Friday, May 22nd. Which works better for you?
Yeah, let's do 9 a.m. Friday, May 22nd.
What's your full name?
My full name is Jim Brad, and my email is jimmybradford55@yahoo.com in case you needed it.
You're all set. 9 in the morning on Friday, May 22nd with James. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's it for now. Thank you. All right, so let's start the build. The first thing that we're going to be doing is making sure that we have an account with livekit.com. So you can see over here, I'm going to head over to livekit.com. Now, what is LiveKit if you haven't seen my tutorials before? LiveKit is an open source software that you basically use to make voice agents. It says right here, build voice, video, and physical AI agents. So once you go to livekit.com, click on start building. And if you don't have an account, it's going to prompt you to create one, but you can do that very quickly. You could even do it with Google authentication in a couple of seconds. But once you log in, you'll be signed in to this dashboard right here, and that's what you'll be looking at. So the first thing that we need to do is actually create a new project, and this project is going to be our new voice agent that we are going to be making and hooking up to our phone. So right here in this dashboard, go to the bottom left, I'll click on create a new project, and a screen should be popping up asking me to name it, and I'll call this one Claude AI hyphen receptionist, just like, oops, reception, sorry, receptionist, just like so. We'll click on continue. Agent observability, we can just enable that really quickly, or you can disable that if you don't want it. But anyways, I'm going to click on continue. And right now our project is being created. Okay, cool. It says you can either build your agent starting in the agent builder, or you can start with code. Click on skip for now. We just want the project to be created. So we have the LiveKit project ready to go. We're signed in with LiveKit and we have an account. The next thing we need to do is get our IDE or our integrated development environment ready. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using VS Code just because it's super simple and very easy to collaborate with Claude Code, which is what we're going to be using. So if you don't have that, what you can do is open up a new browser tab and you can search up either VS Code right here in Google. But if you want to go to the actual site, you can just go to code.visualstudio.com. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring you to the Visual Studio Code landing page, and you can just download it for your operating system. So for instance, if I did not have it, I would download it for Mac OS right here. So once you install it for Mac, you would go to your apps and then click on the Visual Studio Code icon. It's going to appear in your navbar and you can right click it. And what we want to do is click on new window. Now from here, you're going to see this welcome page. We can just X that out for now. What we want to do is create a new folder or a directory for our project to actually go inside of. So you're going to click on this paper icon in the top left-hand corner, click on open folder, and then click on new folder, and we'll call this Claude-AI-receptionist, just like this, and click on create. Now we're going to open that folder and we're going to see the interface change up a little bit. Okay, so at this point, we have VS Code open in our new folder that we just created. What we want to do is close out this VS Code agent that they offer to us. We're going to be using Claude Code instead, and then close out this welcome screen as well. Now, what we want to do right now is actually pull up the terminal. On Mac, you want to pull the terminal by running Control backtick. You can get the same thing on Windows by running Control backslash, I believe. But anyways, let's close out the ports and the debug console for now and just run clear so we have a clean slate to work out of. You can see the directory that we are inside is Claude AI Receptionist, which is the folder that we just created. So we're ready to begin building out our voice agent. So the first thing we need to do is install a package manager called UV. It's similar to pip if you've used that to set up a Python virtual environment. Basically a place we can keep all of our dependencies, and then we're going to install the LiveKit CLI. So I'm just going to check that I have that on my computer by running UV hyphen version. And I already have it installed, so we'll just verify the version. If you don't have UV installed just yet, I'll put a link in the description to install it. It takes about 30 seconds to do that. You would also need LiveKit installed. I'm going to check that I have that. And I have LiveKit version 2.16.0. That's the current version for today's date. But if you don't have that, I'll put that in the description as well. So the LiveKit CLI is installed, and that's how we're going to talk to LiveKit from the terminal. The next thing we need to do over here in VS Code is actually authenticate to LiveKit. That means we're going to sign in to our LiveKit account through this terminal so we can access our project. So what we're going to do is run LK Cloud Auth. And if this runs successfully, I'll be signed in to my account and accessing that Claude Receptionist project that I made in the LiveKit dashboard. So you're going to go ahead and click enter. And then what this is going to do is it's going to ask you to confirm the name of the device. And it's going to pop up a tab in my browser. So as you can see right here, I'm going to click enter. And this tab has now popped up for me. It's asking me to link the project to my LiveKit CLI. I'm going to authorize access to this Claude AI Receptionist project that I just made and click on allow access. Now it says access is granted. You may now close this window and return to the CLI. So we'll just X this tab out. And now it says authenticated project and it just asks us if we want to make this project default. I'm going to go ahead and click yes. So now we're all good to go with the LiveKit CLI and we are signed in. Okay, now we need to actually set up our voice agent, meaning we need to get all of the files and code ready in this project so that we can see it on the left-hand side and actually have the code in this folder. So in order to do that, we're going to run a command that's similar to cloning a GitHub repository. It's a very simple command, and that is lk agent init, which is short for initialization. And next, we're going to call this Claude AI Receptionist. I'm just going to make it the same name as the project that I made. And then you want to do hyphen template. And make sure to type this out correctly. It's going to be agent starter Python. This is the command that basically clones the LiveKit starter for making voice agents so that when we run this, we'll have our own local version of that repository and we can build out our voice agent on top of that. So once again, we have lk agent init, which is going to give us a folder right here that is named Claude AI Receptionist. And then for the specific template, we specify that we want the Python template because we're going to be coding this agent in Python. So if I go ahead and click enter, what's going to happen now is going to ask if we want to use the project that we just authenticated to. We want to click yes, and then it's going to take a few seconds and actually create this project for us, and we'll be able to see a new folder right here. Okay, cool. About a couple of seconds later, it says your agent has been created. We can easily talk to our agent in the web console by running these steps, and then some different stuff about deployment down here that we don't need to worry about. But anyways, let's make sure that we change directories into this new Claude AI Receptionist. So you're going to run cd space, then just press tab, and it'll auto-populate, and click enter. And let's expand out this folder just to take a little quick look. We have all the files we need to set up our voice agent. And what's actually funny is that our whole voice agent is basically only 3 or 4 files that really matter. So let's go through them right now. I want to go through the main file, which you can find in source, and it's called agent.py. You might have already seen this before, but if not, this is basically the one file that sets up our whole voice agent. It loads all the imports. There's this assistant class, and its main purpose is to set the persona for our agent. So as you can see here, it just says you are a friendly, reliable voice assistant that answers questions and so forth. This is the first thing the agent sees when it's loaded. And then down here, it's just all setting up the server, setting up the session, and making sure our agent is actually started and can join. We also get some more boilerplate if we wanted to add an AI avatar right here, and then it's kicked off by this run app function. So yeah, the whole voice agent is basically taken care of in this one file. That's what you need to remember about agent.py. If you wanted to make any edits to the pipeline, like we're going to do later with swapping the LLM, or if I scroll down a little bit further, swapping the speech to text model or text to speech, you do that in this file. And it's the same with adding functions. So that's it, about 150 lines, already a working voice agent using LiveKit inference for speech to text, text to speech, and OpenAI's GPT as the LLM. And later we're going to transform this into a receptionist. The next file that I think is pretty important to understand is pyproject.toml. So these are our Python dependencies, basic LiveKit plugins like turn detection and noise cancellation just to help with the conversation. We're going to be adding to this when we build out our voice agent. So all of our dependencies are kept track in this list right here. The third file I wanted to go over was .env.local. So this is our environment file, and you might have seen something like this before. A .env is basically a file where you store your sensitive information, because if you want to push this project to your own GitHub repository, you don't want to push your secrets or your API keys because that's sensitive information you don't want leaked. So you would put it in this .env.local file, and what you would push is something like a .env.example. So at least you have the format of that file without your keys. But anyways, those are the 3 files I wanted to go over. Agent.py for the voice agent, pyproject.toml to keep track of our dependencies and what we installed, and then our .env.local to store our environment variables. And what's cool is when we ran this lk agent init in the terminal right here, this command made our .env.local file and populated it with our LiveKit keys. So the agent is scaffolded, but before we touch any code, we want to set up Claude Code as our coding assistant. And not only that, we want Claude Code to know exactly how LiveKit works. So that's next. Let's clear out the terminal by running clear. and X this file out. And in the next step, we're going to be installing Claude Code and giving it full access to LiveKit's info and documentation. What you want to do if you've never set up Claude Code in VS Code is go to the extensions icon on the left, which is these 4 blocks right here. And you're going to want to search up for the Claude Code extension. Claude Code is basically a high quality coding assistant that you can use to write code for you in your project. So you're going to want to click on it and then sign into your Anthropic account. And to be completely honest with you guys, you would need at least a pro plan to use Claude Code and VS Code, as it's not offered on their free plan, but I highly recommend it if you're not using it already. So once you sign into your Claude Code Anthropic account, you might need to restart VS Code, which just takes a couple of seconds. Then we could X out this tab and go back to our folder icon right here. And we're going to pull up Claude Code in the terminal next. But before I do that, I want to go over on why this stack works. So LiveKit ships something called agent skills, which are structured docs that Claude Code reads automatically when you prompt it. If you asked Claude Code to build a LiveKit voice agent from scratch with no context, it'd get it right maybe 2% of the time because the framework is too new. The patterns are too specific. But with these skills sitting in this project, that reliability jumps to roughly 80%. And I'll link the article in which I got that statistic from in the description. So that's a massive boost. And as you can see here on the right, it's a pretty big file. But what this does is it informs our agent about LiveKit's architecture. So the name is LiveKit Agents, and as a description to the agent, it just says, build voice AI agents with LiveKit Cloud in the agent SDK. Use this when the user asks to build a voice agent or create a LiveKit agent. It gives it different tips like LiveKit Agents development for LiveKit Cloud, making sure all the architecture is correctly set up, connecting to your cloud project, but we've done that already. And then just different nitty-gritty details about LiveKit that we don't need to know because our agent will know for us. Like use LiveKit Inference for AI models. LiveKit Inference is the recommended way to use AI models with LiveKit Cloud. And the reason this is so important is because it wouldn't have known these little details about LiveKit if it didn't have these facts on hand. If you keep going, it gives it a critical rule: never trust model memory for LiveKit APIs, always go to the docs. It also gives us something required, so it says before writing any LiveKit code, ensure access to the LiveKit documentation MCP server. This provides current verified API information and prevents reliance on stale model knowledge. You can take a look at the rest of the document. It's just more facts about LiveKit for our agent. But what we actually have to do is set up the MCP server. And when you combine giving our agent this skill.md file, as well as access to an MCP server where it can access LiveKit documentation on command 24/7, our agent gets scary accurate. If you've never used MCP, don't worry, it stands for Model Context Protocol. And in this context, it basically allows our agent to access the LiveKit documentation in real time. If you were to ask it to take an action, it would actually use our MCP server, access any of the LiveKit documentations that are relevant to the question, and use that to help it when it writes code. For a very simple analogy, you could think of this like if you were taking a test, and for every question, you could basically instantly find an answer for it through the textbook. That's what LiveKit MCP allows our agent to do, so it eliminates a lot of the guesswork. That's why the skill.md with LiveKit MCP server is so helpful. Okay, so what we know now is the skill.md helps our agent with LiveKit information, and we're going to give our agent access to the LiveKit MCP server so it has access to all the different LiveKit docs. So let's X this out and then pull up our terminal. Now we're going to boot up Claude Code. And what we want to do is actually run Claude in our terminal. And it's going to ask you if you trust this folder. And we'll click yes. Okay, now our agent is pulled up. I just want to test our agent is here by asking it a simple question. Hey, can you just tell me a joke really quickly? And we'll see what it says. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. So our agent is here and it responded within about a second. The next thing we're going to ask it is to actually install the LiveKit MCP server for us. And by the way, instead of typing, I'm using dictation through WhisperFlow. It's a basic tool you can set up if you wanted to talk to your computer, but typing is just fine. So I'm going to say, install the LiveKit docs MCP server for this project so you have access to current LiveKit API docs while we build. And I'll fire this off. And it's running a command. Claude Code always uses funny words like schlepping whenever it's doing its work. And we'll just wait for it to respond. Okay, so it looks like it's done. It said installed at the project scope in mcp.json, and it's connecting fine. But we do need to restart this Claude Code session for the tools to load into the toolset. And after that, it'll have access to the MCP server. Looks like it also created this file .mcp.json, and that's what actually gives it access to this URL. So let's do that right now and restart our agent. I'm going to click my cursor back here and then press Control-C twice. So now the session is quit. Let's clear our terminal and then run Claude again. And the first thing I'm going to ask it is, hey, can you check that you have access to the LiveKit docs MCP server, please? And we'll fire this off and see what it says. Jitterbugging away. And nice, looks like it was actually able to call the LiveKit docs, and it says, yes, LiveKit docs MCP is connected and working. The get docs overview just return the full docs table of contents. So cool. Claude Code now has live access to LiveKit's current docs, a bunch of different tools like search, get pages, code search, and so forth. We are ready to begin building. Okay, so all this talk about the voice agent, the next step is for us to actually test it out in the terminal. Meaning if we run a command, we'll be able to speak with our voice agent from our computer. So in order to do that, click this plus icon to open up a new terminal. And we want to make sure that we are in the right repository. So click on CD and click tab again to enter into this Claude AI Receptionist directory. So let's clear this out. The first command you want to run is uv sync to install any of the necessary dependencies. This is just a command that LiveKit gives us that you want to make sure you have done before you run your voice agent. All this is taken care of in our pyproject.toml file. I'm just going to click on no on this pop-up. So we just installed the agent's runtime and plugin dependencies. The next command that we're going to run is another pretty similar one. And this command is going to install the model files for voice activity detection, turn detection, and noise cancellation. These are things I mentioned previously that just help with the actual technicalities of the conversation. So what you're going to type is uv run source/agent.py download -files and click enter. And while this runs, just so you know, these two commands are the two preparatory commands that make sure your setup is all good to go before you actually run your voice agent, because that's going to be the next command we run. Okay, so we're good to go. Dependencies are installed. Our agent is basically ready to go. So again, let's clear out this terminal. We're going to run uv run source/agent.py console. And when I click enter, our voice agent is going to be summoned. We're going to see some sound bars and we'll be able to speak with our agent. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter. And our agent should be pulling up. Hello?
Hi there. How can I help you today?
Yeah, can you just tell me what company you're made by?
I'm made by OpenAI.
Got it. And can you tell me a fun fact about, I don't know, California?
Sure. California is home to the tallest trees on Earth, the coast redwoods, and some of them grow taller than 370 feet. Want another fun fact?
All right, so our agent is up and running, and in order to quit it, just press Control C. And cool, we just confirmed that we can speak with our agent and it is working in the terminal. So that's the baseline GPT assistant from the starter. It works, but it's pretty generic. So let's swap the brain to Claude and give it a personality. So let's clear this terminal out. So let's go back to the terminal where we had Claude Code running. I'm going to fire up Claude again. Okay, so now I'm going to give Claude Code its first clear development task just by asking it to swap the LLM that's set over here in agent.py to use Claude instead of OpenAI. So I'm just going to tell it really quickly, hey, let's swap our LLM to Claude Sonnet 4.6, use the Anthropic plugin directly, install the dependency, run UV lock, and then add Anthropic API key to both env files if needed. Just let me know and I can grab the API key. So I'm going to send that off and we'll see if Claude Code completes this task. Okay, so it's all done. Let's pull up the terminal a little bit to see what it said. So when I initially asked it, it called the LiveKit docs to figure out how to do this. It changed up the dependencies in our pyproject.toml file, gave us the correct imports, and swapped the LLM according to how LiveKit formats it. Then it also added a placeholder Anthropic API key in our .env file and updated it in the .example env file as well because I asked it to. So it said done, the LLM is swapped, added Anthropic to pyproject.toml, and ran UV sync to install the dependencies. So for us, if we were to do that on your own, that'd probably be about 5 minutes of just ironing everything out. But you can see that was one prompt with Claude Code, and I literally spoke to it with my own voice. So that's nice. Now it says go ahead and paste the Anthropic API key. I'll drop it into .env.local. So what we'll do here is we'll go over to the browser, and we're going to go to console.anthropic.com. And once you sign in with your Anthropic account, you'll be brought to this dashboard where there's a button that literally says get your API key. So I'm going to click that. Click on create key, and we'll just name this Claude-AI-receptionist. Now I always rotate my keys, so I'm just going to click add and then copy this. If you plan to reuse this key after this session, you want to store this somewhere pretty safe so you can access it again because you're not going to be able to see it again. So I'm going to close this, then head back to VS Code. And we can just paste it in our .env.local file ourselves since it already gave us this placeholder. You're just going to want to click in between the quotations and paste in that key. And now I'm just going to tell Claude, I pasted in my key myself into the .env.local where you added the placeholder for Anthropic API key. And I'm going to fire that off, but I also wanted to highlight again that it didn't do any guesswork. It directly called the LiveKit docs to figure out what is the exact way that the docs recommend doing this instead of guessing. Because with code that's so specific, it's very easy to get these little things wrong, especially if we were doing it manually. But Claude Code allows you to access a new level of development and accuracy. So I'm going to click enter and let it know. And it just said we're ready to run it to test that. So we're going to open up that second tab again where we are running our voice agent. Run that same command, which was uv run python src agent.py console. And as long as we can speak with our voice agent right now, that means that our LLM is successfully updated. So I'm going to execute this command by clicking enter. Hey, you there?
Yes, I'm here. How can I help you today?
Yeah, hey, can you tell me which company you come from?
I'm an AI voice assistant, but I'm afraid I don't have specific information about which company built or deployed me in this context. Is there something I can help you with today?
No worries. I was just trying to test that. This is the Anthropic LLM that I was using.
That's right, I'm powered by Claude, made by Anthropic. Is there anything I can help you with today?
Okay, so I'm going to click Control C because we verified that we are correctly speaking to our voice agent with the Claude Sonnet LLM, which is really cool. Okay, so Claude is the brain now, but right now the agent is basically just a chatbot. It can't actually do anything, so let's fix that. The whole point of a receptionist is that it books real meetings on a real calendar. So we've got two pieces left to wire up. Our cal.com account on one side and the function tools that let Claude talk to Cal's API on the other. Let's take care of Cal first because we need the API key and event type ID before we can write the code that uses them. So again, we're going to head over to cal.com because the agent needs somewhere to actually book the meetings. So back in the browser right here, you're going to search up cal.com. And you can use this for completely free for this tutorial. So you're just going to want to go ahead and create an account. You can even do it with Google as well. But on this page, click Go to App. And that's going to take you to event types. Now, by default, you'll have a 30-minute meeting and a 15-minute meeting. And we're going to be using this 30-minute one. We can just leave it how it is. And this will allow us to actually book meetings and put them on your calendar. It might ask you for permission to sync up to your Google Calendar. So that way, when we actually run the voice agent, we can see those appointments populate on the Google Calendar. But what we need right now is the API key. So click on settings in the bottom left. And then under developer in the left-hand side nav, click on API keys. I'm going to make a new one and I'll call this Claude AI-receptionist. And I'll just toggle on never expires. So I'm going to click on create. And now we want to copy this and then paste it back in our code. Again, you will not be able to view it again once you close this modal. So head over to VS Code so we can navigate to our .env.local right here. We're going to write cal underscore API underscore key equals quotations and then just paste in what we just copied. So back in the browser, I'm just going to click done. And the last thing from cal.com is the event type API ID. So go back to that 30-minute event meeting. And then this 7-digit number in between the forward slash and the quotation mark, you want to copy that because we're going to need that to paste into our .env file. The reason is because this is how it identifies which event that we want to book. The API key is just for authentication into our account. So I'm going to copy my 7-digit number by right clicking and clicking copy. And then back in VS Code, you're just going to write in cal underscore event underscore type underscore ID and paste in that number. And don't forget to click save by pressing Command S. So now what I'm going to do is close out this .env.local file and open up agent.py. And the reason is we're going to ask our Claude Code agent to actually make us some functions. The first function is going to be to book a meeting. The second one is going to be to look up availability. And then lastly, we're going to have a third function to end the call. We're going to have Claude Code take care of all the heavy lifting. So what I'm going to say is, hey, I want to use cal.com and have this agent be able to book appointments for me. So can you make me 3 functions? I want one function to be able to look up availability, one function to book a meeting, and then one to end the call. Use the cal version 2 API. I put in .env.local my cal.com API key, as well as the cal event ID that I want you to be able to book. You can check those out. They're in the .env.local. And feel free to make these functions and test them so that you check that they work. And anything else, just ask me a question. So now I have that in, I'm going to go ahead and send this off and we'll see what it says. So right now it's saying, let me quickly verify the cal.com API, check the event type and look up LiveKit's end call approach. Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes and looks like Claude Code has finished it up. It did some fetching and API calls to figure out what the cal.com API looks like and what the format is like. And it said, I have what I need, adding the 3 tools to agent.py. And don't worry guys, I'll put all the code as my GitHub repository in the description so you can access all these functions and I'll show you what to paste. All 3 existing tests still pass. What it added was check availability that gets slots and returns the open 30-minute slots. Book a meeting, which makes a post request to book a meeting, and then end call, which waits for playout, and then delete room to hang up for everyone. It also updated the agent persona, so it actually acts like a receptionist, and it defaults to Pacific time because that's the time zone that I'm currently in. So the flow is look through availability, confirm, book, and then offer to end. What's really cool is it also verified end to end against the real cal.com API, and it pulled 16 real slots from my own calendar. And it said it even booked the 9 a.m. one, then canceled it because it was just a test, which is really cool in my opinion. It also said the end call need a LiveKit job example, so I can't really smoke test that unless I were on a call myself. But now it's saying it's basically done and all I have to do is try this out in the console. And then it flagged a couple of things like, hey, look, if you're in a different time zone, just change that up. If you want to end call goodbye, you can always add that, and then you can clean up the bookings if you'd like. In the code, it added about 8 imports and then a couple of variables for dealing with the Cal API. Looks like a basic helper function for requesting cal.com, and then the same thing with hang up call. It updated the prompt like it told us, and then it actually added the 3 new functions right under this boilerplate that I was talking about earlier. So it has one for check availability, which hits the API and then returns a list of available times. Book meeting, which just sends a post request to actually book a meeting on our calendar, which is a bit longer. And then we have this basic end call function, which is basic traditional LiveKit syntax. So let's recap where we are at. The tools are wired and Claude Code even smoke tested them. It booked a meeting against the real cal.com API and canceled it. So we know they work, but the agent still got a half-baked personality. Let's tighten it up properly and then we test the whole thing end to end before going live on a phone. So what I'm going to say is, hey, go ahead and tighten the receptionist personality that you already wrote. Rename the class from assistant to receptionist and then change the agent name from my agent to receptionist in the worker options or the RTC sessions. Just a very simple basic prompt that'll help us tighten up in the assistant class right here in this instructions variable. So I'm going to fire this off and we'll watch it change this code we have right here. Okay, so it's editing it right now. And it says all 3 tests pass. The changes are assistant to receptionist. It changed the agent name and function up a little bit. And then for the persona, it rewrote the instructions block to be tighter and more receptionist shaped. Gave it some guardrails like saying, hey, don't use filler words, and then also a one-line greeting that doesn't list capabilities. So right here, it's just telling us what it tightened up in Persona. I'm actually going to give it some more instructions, and I'm going to say, restructure the system prompt with some section headers. So identity, voice rules, conversation flow, and boundaries. For the voice rules, never use Markdown because the text to speech reads asterisks literally. Always offer exactly 2 times, never more, even if more came back for the availabilities. And spell emails naturally, and make sure to speak the times in plain English, not ISO. So we'll fire this off right here. And you can just see it's just basic formatting stuff that I gave it that actually reformatted itself. And we'll see if this changes anything. Okay, cool. So it said all checks passed. 1 file was left unchanged. The prompt is now 3 clean sections: identity, voice rules, conversation flow, and boundaries. And the booking flow now says offer exactly 2 times. And then it also cleaned up the formatting things. So let's actually take a look to verify this ourselves. If I scroll down to the assistant class, it's now changed to receptionist actually. And look at these instructions that actually use my own name saying you are James Bradford's voice receptionist. You answer the phone, help callers book a 30-minute meeting with James, and politely steer everything else back to scheduling. And then it also formatted it the way I asked it. So it has identity, voice rules, conversation flow, and boundaries with very basic, brief persona instructions that we have right here. And the last little change it made was in the agent name. If I scroll all the way down here to where we're setting up the actual session, you can see agent name has changed to receptionist, just so it's a little bit more accurate. So now this file, it went from about 150 lines to 288 lines of code, but it's all verified and correct. It only took me speaking to my computer. Okay, so now our agent is good to go and book us appointments on cal.com. So it's time we go ahead and test our agent out. I'm going to clear this out by running /clear, and we want to go over to our other terminal where we can actually run our agent in the terminal. So again, we're going to run uv run python src/agent.py console. We're going to try and schedule a meeting and see if our calendar gets updated and we get the appointment in cal.com. So now I'm going to go ahead and click enter and we'll see what it says.
Hi, this is James's assistant. How can I help?
Yeah, I just wanted to schedule a meeting to talk with James.
Sure, what's the meeting about?
It's just about some basic AI consulting.
Got it. What day were you thinking?
Do you have any times in the morning for Monday, May 18th?
Let me check that for you. He has openings on Monday the 18th. How does 9 in the morning or 11 in the morning work for you?
Yeah, let's do 9 a.m. on the 18th.
What's your full name?
My full name is Jim Brad.
And what's your email address?
Yeah, my email is jimmybradford55@yahoo.com.
Just to confirm, that's jimmybradford55 at yahoo.com.
Yeah, sure, the 55 is 2 numbers.
Got it. jimmybradford55 at yahoo.com. Let me get that booked for you. You're all set. 9 in the morning on Monday, May 18th with James. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's it for now.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
Now we've got a working receptionist, but it lives in our terminal. So now we're going to put it on a real phone number so that anyone can call it. And the cool part is LiveKit ships native phone numbers. I've gone over this in the past, but I'm going to go over it again fully today. So we don't have to use Twilio or any SIP trunk to wire it up, and you get one number for free with your LiveKit account. So the end goal here is we'll be able to actually call our number and we can set an appointment with it just like we did here in the console. So what we're going to do now is head back over to the browser and we're going to go to livekit.com once again. On the left-hand side nav, click on this telephony drop down and then click on phone numbers. What we want to do right now is actually buy a number, and it says you can purchase phone numbers directly from LiveKit for voice agents. No external SIP trunk required, like I mentioned. And this is for answering inbound calls. So if you have a landing page or if you want a number to be attributed to your agent, which people can call, this is exactly what we're going to be doing. So click on buy a number, and you can pick a number of your choice and even specify what type of number, the area code or different digits in the number that you want. So I'm going to search up for numbers in my area code and see if any come up. So this first one looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and click buy right here and click on confirm purchase. But I actually have not even put in my card to LiveKit just yet. I believe LiveKit offers you one free phone number that you can use. But anyways, if you go over the usage limits for the free tier, the cost is very insignificant. So it says purchase completed, next assign your new number. We successfully purchased this phone number and we need to configure it with a new existing dispatch rule to begin routing calls. You could basically think of this dispatch rule as the bridge from our agent to this phone number. But we're actually going to be doing this in VS Code. So click on the X in the top right corner and then head over to your code. So in our project root, we're going to click to create a new file. And what we're going to call this is dispatch-rule.json, like this. And I've got some code that you can go ahead and copy and paste. It's going to be exactly this. You can pause the video and copy and paste this, or you can just grab it straight from my GitHub. It's only 7 lines of code. Real quickly to go over this, what happens is when a call comes in, LiveKit spins up a fresh room with a prefix call and drops in the agent named Receptionist, which is what we named our agent in agent.py. If I scroll down all the way to the end where we set up the server, that was the name we gave to our agent here on line 232, Receptionist. So if you were to change up your agent name, just make sure it matches the dispatch rule. And now we're going to go over to our Claude agent and actually have it create us our dispatch rule from this dispatch rule.json that we just inputted. So I'm going to say, hey Claude, I just bought a phone number in the LiveKit dashboard for their LiveKit native phone numbers. But over here in the root, I created a file called dispatch rule.json. And what that does is it'll create the dispatch rule to link our agent to our phone number. Can you go ahead and run the terminal command? I believe it's lk dispatch create or something similar to actually hook up the dispatch rule, because right now it's just a file and I just saved it. I didn't connect it to the number or anything. So can you do that for me and then let me know if you were able to do that successfully? And I'll just click enter and we'll watch Claude do its thing. Okay, and after about 10 seconds, it looks like it was able to finish that. It said, done, the dispatch rule is created. Inbound calls to your LiveKit number will now spin up rooms with the call prefix and dispatch your receptionist agent to them. To verify, just run this command lk sip dispatch list. So we'll do that in the other terminal, but you can see this is the exact command it ran, lk sip dispatch create, to actually link our dispatch rule. So in the other terminal, we'll just run that command that it gave us to run, which was lk sip dispatch list, like so, and I'm gonna click enter. And we see SDR A37, and if we go back to the other terminal, SDR A37. So it successfully created the dispatch rule for us. It also warned us to double check the name matches the agent name when our worker connects. So I can just say, sure, go ahead and double check that for me, and I'll click enter. Okay, and it said we're all wired up, the name matches. So at this point, we're ready to test our agent by running it and calling the number that we bought. And really quickly, before we do our final test, I want to make one last change in agent.py. So what I want to add is actually the ability for our agent to be able to say hi to us first, as opposed to us initiating the conversation when the agent picks up. The way it should work is the agent picks up and then immediately greets us. So in order to do that, just scroll down to the bottom here. We want to actually move this ctx.connect line, and we're going to move it right above this session.start function. So we're just swapping the order of the .connect and the .start. The reason is you want to connect to the room first and then start the session. And then for the actual greeting, you're going to go right below session.start and just write in await session.generate_reply. And inside of these parentheses, we want to write in instructions, and we're going to set them equal to greet the caller saying you are James's assistant and offer help. So cool. All that we've done right here is just swap the order. So we're done with that, just swapping the order of the connect and start functions and adding the greeting. Let's pull this terminal back up. So what I'm going to do now is actually clear this out. And then we're going to run a command similar to what we've been running with the UV run. But instead of console, you're going to delete that word and write in dev. And for this step, you're going to need your personal cell phone number because you're going to call the number that you bought. And because we set up the dispatch rule, you'll be speaking to your agent. What this is going to do is actually set up our voice agent in the cloud as a worker, as opposed to just on our local computer. That's how we can be actually connected to our number. So I'm going to click enter. And you're going to want to make sure this line shows up, registered worker. That's how we know that our agent is up and running and ready to be connected and spoken with. So go back to LiveKit, and for this step, you're going to want to copy this number that you actually purchased. So here's my personal phone, and I'm in the dialer, so I'm going to do it manually, 7957796. And I'm going to click enter on this number, and what should happen is our voice agent will be able to speak with us. So now I'm going to call our agent.
Hi, this is James's assistant. How can I help?
Hi there, I just wanted to schedule a meeting to speak with James.
Sure. What's the meeting about?
I just wanted to talk about some AI consulting.
Got it. What day works for you?
I was thinking Friday, May 15th in the morning.
Let me check what's open on Friday the 15th. He has 9 in the morning or 11 in the morning open on Friday the 15th. Then do either of those work for you?
Yeah, we can do 11 Friday the 15th.
Can I get your full name
Yeah, my full name is James Bradford.
and your email address?
Yeah, my email is jimmybradford55@yahoo.com.
Just to confirm, that's jimmybradford55@yahoo.com.
Correct, that's it.
Great. Let me get that booked for you. You're all set. The meeting is confirmed for Friday, May 15th at 11 in the morning Pacific time. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's it for now, thank you. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and
Sounds
hang
good.
up. Alright guys, so that was the build, 3 prompts, around 150 lines of Python, and a real phone agent that books real meetings on a real calendar. The repo's in the description if you want to clone it and fork it for your own thing. And let me know in the comments what you would build with this. Receptionist for your business, support intake, a cold caller, after hours assistant. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.